standing here today with Natasha Egan, the Executive Director of the Museum of Contemporary Photography at Columbia College. Thank you for having us today.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Excited to be here.
Yeah.
So can you tell us about the museum?
Sure. So we are 50 years old.
Wow.
So we are part of Columbia College. We're an academic art museum, and we moved into this space that you're standing in, which is at 600 South Michigan, right on the corner of Michigan and Harrison. And we've been in this space since 1976.
Wow.
So
okay.
for 50 years, and it hasn't changed much. The space itself, you know, these like Art Deco weird ceilings
like
and
it.
stuff. It's very cool, but
Yeah.
it's kind of unchanged since we were here. But we did turn the space into a photography museum. And we started as part of the photography department at Columbia College, and we were a gallery that showed professional work. And it would, you know, different shows would come and go, and then the chair of the photography department and some photography collectors in Chicago kind of came together and said, what if we started a photography museum and we kept this work, and we could use it for teaching, and we can use it for exhibiting, and we can buy works that we're showing and grow this collection. And so we have done that for the last 50 years.
So prior to that, it was for the students, and then they made it a professional museum?
So it wasn't for the students. It was just a gallery that was for the general public who'd come, but we are part of Columbia College. So a lot of the early exhibitions were professors that would maybe teach here for a semester, or guest lecturers, and then we would have their works shown. So it was professional work.
Yeah.
It just wasn't in a museum. It would go away. And then we decided to start collecting. So we started collecting in 1979, and then we decided to turn ourselves from a gallery into a museum, which is a whole it's a whole process to go through to turn yourself into a museum. And we are an accredited art museum by the American Alliance of Museums, which is a whole nother layer of getting to be a place where you can be accredited, which means like we can borrow works from other institutions. We're good on all the policies and processes and temperature controls and all the things that accredited museums have to work towards being. So we've been accredited since the mid-'80s.
Okay. What kind of exhibits were first shown here?
Well, it's really not about what was first shown, it's what's been continuing to be shown here. So this idea of we are the Museum of Contemporary Photography. So when we first started, it was really about showing works that are being made today.
Yeah.
Like, what does contemporary mean? It means what's happening today.
Right.
And photography is one of the most exciting, accessible mediums that both documents what's happening in the days, in society, in wherever, and it's also a great art form, and so you can use it both for document and for art, and make it creative. So you have photojournalism, but you also then have photographic art that can be more kind of conceptual.
That's kind of why I'm asking, because like, what was contemporary at the time? I'm just curious, like, through the ages, what was contemporary at different time points? So when the museum first opened, what do you think people were talking about and documenting?
Well, so photography, basically people have been photographing everything that's happening in front of them all the time. So it's more about what the priorities what the museum curators were interested in at that time. So I think there was always this fight. There was a little bit of a fight for photography to be considered an art form, because a lot of painters and sculptors thought like, that's mechanical.
Yeah.
And that's not the hand in there. And yet so there was this little bit of fight for like, what is art photography?
Right.
And there's a long history of that goes before the 70s, like when we were founded. But so we were showing artists that were grappling with the times then. So we showed street photography, landscapes, portraiture. I mean, the same thing that everybody continues to show, but the landscape changes because time changes and technology changes. And I think that's one of the most important things about being a photography museum is that the technology is constantly changing. And so earlier, you know, there was more of an embrace of black and white work was sort of the you know, the artistic rendition, you know, and then color, when color first started to come into the art photography world, it was kind of, oh no, that's commercial. That's like something you would see as an ad. You know, that's just something you would, you know, that's not a fine art, because fine art is black and white. Anyways, that got smashed, you know, in the 60s and 70s, art photographers embraced color. And so you saw color start to be incorporated and used as like a critical tool in creating work.
I'm just looking at that, like the color is so striking on that photo. Like I can't imagine if that was in black and white, it just wouldn't hit the same really.
Yeah, whether an artist chooses to photograph in black and white or color, or digitize or digital or completely wacky colors or create works with AI, that's all, I think, the importance of an artist knowing how to use the technical tools that are available for them today. You know, but in this room, I should say we have an exhibition up at the museum right now called Storm, and it's sponsored by a bank in Switzerland. It's Pick Day Bank, and they have for 10 years, or maybe even 11 years, they have sponsored a prize that's mostly a photography prize. It's a global prize, and they have many people around the world, including me, nominate artists to with a different theme in mind, and it's a very broad theme. So this year's theme is called Storm, and so the submissions are about you know, and the call for the nominations and the works was about Storm being about climate change. It's also about kind of political, stormy, complicated times. And so then there's a group of judges who judge all the nominations and bring it down to 12 artists. And they are from all over the world. And many of it, I only knew 2 artists in this exhibition before we brought it here, which is really exciting for me, because I look at a lot of work, and to learn about artists working around the world who I didn't know, but they were all nominated by people around the world. And so we have artists, you know, from Africa, we have artists from Japan, we have artists from Brazil, we have artists from Europe, England, Mexico. I mean, I think they're really from all over the world, and it was so exciting for me. And the works that you're pointing to is Alfredo Yar, and Alfredo Yar is one of the most well-known artists in the world. This work is quite different for him, and this is about kind of Salt Lake drying up and the environmental issues when you have a lake the size of the Great Salt Lake dry up because of climate change, because there's all these minerals in the lake that need to be underwater for humans, because as soon as they're exposed and airborne, that's one of the biggest pollution catastrophes for our health. So this work is really looking at climate through the drying up of something. Somebody thinks, oh, but that's natural. You know, that's natural. And it's like, yeah, it's natural, but it should be underground and underwater. And then just to show the difference, these are kind of traditional color photographs, landscapes. But behind me, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, is an incredible photograph which goes back to the very basics of photography. This is what's called a photogram. This is just light hitting photographic paper. It happens to be like 300 meters long of a roll of paper. And Roberto Hargicaya put this huge piece of paper, photographic paper, in the rainforest. And there's a big palm tree that it's like, it's showing this like huge palm tree. And a lightning storm and rainstorm happened, and the lightning exposed the paper.
That's so cool.
It's amazing.
Wow.
And so you see this kind of flash. And what's interesting about this piece, and this is going to get too complicated for all of this, but there's also work by a Japanese artist who's also looking at the history of the atom bomb. And there was a large flash when the bombs were dropped, which essentially created photograms of humans in Japan, which is very challenging. But this idea that photography can be technical with color paper and like this, and then this is just the basics of how a photographic paper can respond to light. Anyway, so to say that we show kind of everything at this museum, and we want to embrace what artists are working with, whether it's traditional. So this is a newer piece. It's maybe from 2014, meaning newer, like it's contemporary-ish, and yet it's a traditional material.
That's very cool.
So we do many different exhibitions. So we change our exhibitions 3 times a year, and this happens to be a traveling show from the Pick Day. So they travel this exhibition. We are the first stop in the United States, and it's been in England and in Japan and in Dubai and in many other places.
That's cool.
So it's traveling around, and so that's this show. The next exhibition that we are doing is an exhibition curated by Sarah Lewis, who's a scholar from Harvard, who is working with our permanent collection. And she is envisioning, the title of the show is If Emmett Till Lived, Freedom in America, Freedom in America. If Emmett Till lived, freedom on American ground. And she is going through using the permanent collection to kind of envision what Emmett Till's life could have been if he was not murdered in 1955.
Wow.
And it's a very powerful exhibition. We have a large publication coming with that, and so that's a very different exhibition than what we have on the walls now. And then the show after that is a show with African artists, contemporary African artists with contemporary writers, and a conversation between poetry and writing and African works. And that's big color, giant pictures, very,
cool.
very different. And that comes up in January. And so on and so on. Another really important show that we're working on in 27 is a contemporary artist who actually is a graduate of Columbia College Chicago, Tonika Johnson. And Tonika Johnson has done an amazing project that you may have heard of. It's called The Folded Map, and it's about Chicago.
Yes,
Chicago's like if you fold Chicago in half at Madison, where it's 0, you have kind of the north and the south, and she matches people who live at the same addresses, but just like north and south. She's done lots and lots of other work for the city of Chicago. And so we're doing a big project with her also in 27.
That's so cool. So to clarify, like if you live at 6600 North Hoyne and 6600 South Hoyne, she would pair you up to meet and talk. That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah, it's a community building, and you really see the discrepancies between what history has done in this city, across the city. So that's going to be a really incredible exhibition. It's more than just the folded map. That's just one of
so
our
cool.
projects.
I would love to get on a mailing list so I can.
Please do.
Yeah.
Well, you'll get this.
Okay, perfect.
Storm. This is the current one.
And what else do you guys do here? You have panels?
Yes, so we have, with every exhibition, we have a kind of a slew of different programming. Sometimes it can be an artist speaking about their works. It can be a panel discussion. It can be a whole, symposium, about a certain topic. So, for example, tomorrow night we are collaborating with the Natural Resource Defense Council, NRDC, here in Chicago, to talk about what kind of action you can take with climate change. And we have climate activists speaking, we have lawyers speaking, and we have a senator as well.
So cool.
Yeah, speaking, using this show, the current show, as a catalyst to take action on
amazing.
Climate change. So that's one example. We also have a program that's probably in its 8th year. It's called Art, Activism, Policy, Power, where we work with different artists to work with 3 to 4 Chicago public school classrooms that they then come together to work on a project about different activism subjects depending on what we're showing. So, for example, we did work with Tanika Johnson a few years ago on the Folded Map project, where we we had schools on the north side and the south side and the west side, and so that was a triangular fold, where all the students then worked together and worked closely with Tanika for that.
What age group are they?
So they are high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they're all between freshmen and seniors, depending on the school. So.
That's so cool.
Junior, seniors, and that's a really great collaboration. And so we just finished one where we worked with Colleen Plum, who is, and we collaborated with Open Lands, which is, do you know about Open?
I've been there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was all about the trees that are outside your home or your school. And they made cyanotypes, which is a little bit like this photogram here, where you use it's a type of photographic process where you use the sun. So they put the plants, onto the cyanotype paper and made documents of their trees that they were learning about by their homes or their schools. And then it was turned into a really beautiful video. With all of the students from all the different schools' works coming together, and it was projected just at the end of May for 2 weeks on art on the Mart, at the Merchandise Mart, and it was amazing.
Oh, I love
it was
that.
amazing to see these
amazing.
beautiful pictures, and it was a beautiful.
Do you guys have that recorded anywhere? If
We do.
You want to see it on your website?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll find it for you.
Okay, yeah, send it. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, it was really a great experience.
Oh, that's beautiful.
For all of us, and of course for the students too, to see their work.
Did they go look at it?
Oh yeah,
Sure they did.
oh yeah.
That's so
we had
cool.
an opening, and on opening night, and we were across the river, and it was a really great celebration. And
Amazing.
yeah, so that's just a little of what we do. But as I said, we're an academic art museum, so we are here. We'll move up into kind of our what we call our print study room, and we're at where the collection is. So we are always teaching classes for, of course, Columbia College students, but we are teaching classes for, of course, CPS students, and all of the universities and schools around the entire region come and utilize our collection. We have 18,000 works in our permanent collection, so there's a lot of conversations to be had, and a lot of great, depth that you can go into on any subject that you can possibly think of. We probably have something to talk about.
Is that the vault?
Yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Okay. So the vault, do you guys keep a record of every exhibit you've ever had in there, or is it just photos that belong to the museum from over time?
Yeah, so it's photographs that we own. So we don't have we have a record like online.
Yeah.
We have a record of every exhibition that we've done, and we have files that show all the exhibitions that we do. But some of the exhibitions, like the current one, is a traveling show, so we don't own this work. We do own some of Alfredo Yar's work in our collection, but it's
Okay.
not from this series.
Yeah.
It's a different body of work. And I wish we owned more of the works in the show, and we might in the future.
You guys, I mean,
So-
it would be so cool to have access to all those photos from over time and just be able to look at them.
Yes, so every photograph that is in our collection is available online. So you can, the whole collection, the 18,000 works are accessible. And we have a record of all the exhibitions that we have done, but we don't have a picture of every picture that's been in every show over the last 50 years.
Yeah.
We have pictures of the installations and of the, and a lot of the work we do try to collect out of the exhibitions that we put together. And that's one of the great ways that the collection grows. It grows by us acquiring work with, we have a wonderful advisory board that contributes financial money for us to buy works for the collection. Then we also receive, because it's very common for museums to receive donations of incredible art. So a lot of the work has also come in through really generous donations.
Great.
Which is how we build our collection, and it's just always changing. And what I love about the collection is, like, when we're collecting the work, not counting donations, because sometimes donations are like more historical works, but when we're collecting new works, we're collecting the works that are being made at the time, because we're exhibiting, you know, the theme that we might be working on is happening right at this time. But then it becomes part of our history. And then when we get donations of historical work, you have contemporary artists working with the collection in contemporary ways. So for example, Sarah Lewis's show coming up, you know, honoring kind of Emmett Till, there's historical works in the project, but it's a contemporary monument to Emmett Till being made today. And then the work takes on another life of its own because of her selection and what work is next to which work, and which work she feels is representing his unlived life. And it's really beautiful, and it's a tremendous project.
Wow, yeah, I would love to come and see it.
Yeah, come and see it. It opens on September 10th.
Okay, I will.
And it's up until December, I don't know, 20th? Somewhere around there. So it's September, October, November, and December.